Okay, so good morning. So we're going to do a little bit of a repeat of intermolecular forces. So just to recap, when we're talking about forces, there are two types. We have intramolecular forces and then intermolecular forces. Intramolecular forces are forces that occur between atoms. In other words, they are the bonding that is occurring. So by saying covalent or polar covalent or ionic, those are intramolecular forces. Intermolecular forces are what is happening, the forces that are causing the molecules to interact, if that helps you to remember. So intermolecular, it's molecules interacting. So the forces between molecules are weaker than when we discuss bonding. So intramolecular forces are always stronger than in-between forces, in-between molecule forces. That's because over here we have an actual connection between atom and atom. Over here we're talking about molecules that are not actually linked through bonds of any type, but they're just interacting with each other. So for example, I can have, let's say, I'm just going to do a quick particle picture. Right? So let's say I have this particle and this particle. I'm talking about how are they interacting with each other. So are they attracted to each other? Are they not attracted to each other? So essentially we're talking about the space between particles. The more space between particles, the less attraction these two will have for each other. The less space between particles means that they have a higher attraction. So what's important here is because the reason why we go through this again in grade 12 is because the properties of matter that exist have to do with their intermolecular forces, right? So if I have three different types of balloon. Three different types of states of matter, right? Solids are very compact, very little space between particles, right? Imagine that was all full. Liquids have more space between particles, right? Because they are not as attracted to each other. And gases have lots of space between particles. So just by state of matter really tells us a little bit about the intermolecular forces. Here they would be strong because there's high attraction, and gases typically are very weak in attraction because they have lots of space between particles. But even the idea such as melting point, right? Or boiling point. So if I have a solid and I want to make it into a liquid, I have to essentially create more space between particles. I have to pull these particles apart, or the molecules apart, right? When I say particle, that can mean anything, but in this particular case, we're discussing molecules. So the more energy it takes to do that, that tells us a little bit about, well, how strongly attracted are they to each other by comparison. The higher the boiling point or melting point, so boiling point would just be going from this transition, but the higher the energy here, essentially, the stronger the attraction that we originally had. So we'll talk about the different types of intermolecular forces that exist. So there's really three of them. So the first two that we're going to be discussing here can sometimes be given a generalized a combined name called van der Waals. Okay, you don't have to, you should know what that term means, but when you're giving me intermolecular forces, you can actually just list the forces that apply. So we have dipole-dipole forces, we have London dispersion forces, and I use short forms for all these. So dipole-dipole, I use dip squared, so it's dip short for dipole, and then of course the square because it's on repeat here. And then London dispersion forces, I use LDF. And then for hydrogen bonding, I use H bond, but we'll get to that. So dipole-dipole only apply to polar molecules. So the reason why is because as they come close to each other, their little dipoles are almost like little mini magnets, right? The uneven electron distribution essentially causes one portion of the molecule or one end of the molecule to have a slight change in charge, right? So we have a slight negative charge where the electrons are attracted and a slight positive charge where the electrons are not attracted. So what ends up happening is the little slight negative ends will attract the slightly positive ends. So the strength of the dipole, of how, I guess, how strong is this dipole attraction, it depends on how polar your molecule is. If you have the same number of dipoles between molecules, what happens there is you have to compare the difference in electronegativity for the dipole. The larger this difference, the larger the dipole, the more polar that bond is. So keep in mind, though, that non-polar molecules, so molecules that have a polar bond, but the dipoles essentially cancel each other out because of its shape, do not have dipole-dipole forces. So here we're only polar molecules can have that. London dispersion forces, let's look at this next. Okay, so what's happening here is London dispersion is essentially discussing that the atoms in one molecule are attracted to atoms of another molecule always, at least in some respect, due to the nucleus or the nuclei, because if there's more than one atom, the protons in one molecule attracting the electrons in the adjacent molecule. So where you have, let's say we had, I'm just going to use kind of blobs to represent. So let's say this is like, so let's say we have one molecule. I'm just kind of making them blobs for now. But inside all of these atoms, right, we have protons in the nuclei. Over here, we have electrons and protons, of course, in their atoms or in their orbitals. So what happens is there's always going to be a slight attraction between molecules because protons and electrons are always attracted. Now, how attracted is this force, or how strong is this force? First of all, this is very weak. So of all the ones we're going to discuss, London dispersion is the weakest, but it can be it can be stronger, of course, depending on the number of electrons and the size of the molecule. So if you have large numbers of protons and electrons, you're going to have larger LDF forces. I don't believe I discussed that any further, but let's take a look at something, right? So let's say I had, CH4 versus, make a larger hydrocarbon here. Okay, so methane, which is just one hydrogen and one carbon and 4 hydrogens, versus this is butane actually, which is a lighter fluid. Okay, if ever the dollar store, you see them, instead of using a matchbox, right, there's a lighter fluid for when you're lighting birthday candles, which we can't even blow on right now, which you have to kind of just wave with your hands to extinguish. But anyways, so methane is a gas and butane is a liquid, but they're made of exactly the same atoms, carbons and hydrogens. And actually, if we were to continue adding more and more carbons, you get to a point where you have your hydrocarbon that's actually so big, we can actually make a solid. For example, wax is a large hydrocarbon, and it's a solid material made of the same stuff as these other two. So the only difference between them is that they are getting larger and larger. So what's happening? First of all, they're all non-polar. They're all symmetrical, okay? Even if you look at the bond is zero, the difference is 0.35, which is on the border, and many even disregard. We're not even going to discuss these dipoles because it's symmetrical, but even still, no polarity whatsoever. So what's happening here is essentially as you're adding on more atoms to this molecule, you're adding on the more protons and more electrons. So the only thing that's causing this change is an increase in the dispersion forces that exist. So you're creating stronger attractive forces. So methane has very weak attractive forces because it's very small. So it's nonpolar, means it only has LDF, and it's very, very, very weak LDF. Right? There's not a lot of protons and electrons here. You add more, now we have a stronger attraction. So we have a liquid, the particles are closer together. You add more, eventually you get to a point where you have the attraction becomes even further and it becomes a solid, right? The particles are closer together. So looking at LDF, by saying something has just LDF, yes, it is very weak compared to the other two, but you can still compare molecules to one another and then look at the intermolecular forces to make a decision on which one you think would have stronger properties, right? Properties are very heavily linked to intermolecular forces. And then lastly, we have the strongest of the intermolecular forces. So in London, dispersion was the weakest. This is the strongest. So I just write H bond. Okay, so this, a lot of people get, or a lot of students have a misconception here. A hydrogen bond, yes, the molecule must have one of these bonds. So hydrogen must be bonded to either oxygen, fluorine, or nitrogen. So very highly electronegative elements. But the hydrogen bonding intermolecular force is actually in reference to the interaction between molecules, right? We're still talking about an intermolecular force. So this actually is pretty much the exact same mechanism as dipole-dipole, right? So you have a dipole. It's just that these particular dipoles tend to be stronger, to cause stronger attractive forces. And that's pretty much it. So when you're looking at a molecule, you're basically going to make a decision, what type of intermolecular forces do these have? It may have one, it may have two of the three, it could have all three. So water is an example of something that has all three. So it has a hydrogen bond, right? It has hydrogen bonding forces. It has dipole-dipole because it's polar, and every molecule, whether it's polar or not, has London dispersion. Okay, so this last piece here is just a summary. So we have here dipole-dipole, which means you have positive and negative ends to your molecule, which attract almost like little mini magnets, right? You have London dispersion, which means protons in one molecule will attract electrons in the opposing or adjacent molecules. And then lastly, we have hydrogen bonding, which is pretty much the same as dipole-dipole. It's just that we have very specific types of stronger attraction.